Hi everyone, my name is Catherine. I'm part of Berkeley Women in Business, and I'm here today for Professor Laura Hassner. Hi Laura.
Hi.
Professor Hassner is a faculty member of the Haas School of Business. She's the Executive Director of UC Berkeley's Innovation and Entrepreneurship. In 2020, she co-created the Berkeley Changemaker curriculum with a team, including Rich Lyons, the former Dean of Haas School of Business, who's now the Chancellor of UC Berkeley. She co-leads and even teaches some of these courses. Thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Could you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and what school you attended?
Sure. I'm happy to finally be here at UC Berkeley. I am fourth generation in my family to have graduated from Berkeley, so this place has just been so special and has uplifted me and my family for literally generations. I did my undergraduate at that institution we will not name, and finally redeemed the family's honor when I came back to UC Berkeley for graduate school. I ended up getting my MBA when I was almost 40 through the Haas School of Business. And one of the things I tell my students is that you actually have more time than you think. You might have a grand plan for yourself, but life works in mysterious and wonderful ways. And sometimes we have the opportunity to come back to school when we're older, and it, for me, was the most wonderful, transformative thing.
So what inspired you to create the Berkeley Changemaker curriculum, and were there any challenges along the way?
Oh, that's a great question. So our Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship here at UC Berkeley is actually a fairly young one. It began in January of 2020. Now, little did we know what would be happening in March of that year, but we knew that we wanted to create a program that appealed to students across campus, whether you were a humanist or a scientist or somewhere in between, because that really is a false dichotomy, especially here at Berkeley. But that if we called the program Berkeley Entrepreneur, we'd get a really narrow subset of students because not so many of our students see themselves as founders or as entrepreneurs. But when you ask how many of our students would benefit from entrepreneurial thinking, from that mindset of, isn't there a better way we could be doing this? That's everybody. And that's why we come to Berkeley, right? We question the status quo, and we have always done it. It's in our DNA. So we were inspired by a class that Professor Alex Budak taught at Haas. He calls it Becoming a Changemaker. That's also the title of his wonderful book. And when you put Berkeley in front of Changemaker, like that means something really special. Well, whenever you're trying to do something that has never been done before, you're bound to encounter challenges. And when you do that in the context of a massive institution, particularly one as large as our public university, you have to figure out new ways to be creative and innovative. So we effectively became a startup, and it was ironic probably that we were the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And one of the challenges is when you're doing curricular innovation at a place like Berkeley, you need money to operate outside of the margins. So we are super lucky in that Berkeley Changemaker is funded entirely by the generosity of donors and philanthropy and any revenue that we can generate on our own. So that's definitely been a challenge, is the ongoing fundraising that we're doing here at Berkeley.
What advice can you offer to us as college students on taking the first step in being a change maker, no matter how small that may be?
Oh, that's a great question. So I teach a course at the business school, UGBA 156, that I designed called Living with Agency. And I would say that one of the most important things, and indeed the very first thing I do with my students, is I teach the imposter experience so that we can all get that out of the way. You may or may not know 92% of us experience that. And it's as common in early stage careers as it is late stage careers. So learning how to manage it is really important. But the next thing I do is I help my students to get really clear on what their values are. So that would be my best piece of advice for anyone trying to make change, is be really clear on who you are and what you value. And then start to look around and see how that manifests in the community around you so that you can start to identify that cause that you're most passionate about. And then I built the class really around the question that you asked is, what are those skills that we then need? So I would argue you need to know how to stay motivated over the long haul, because change can be really hard and it can take a long time and it can take teams of people. You also need to be good at persuading and influencing others, negotiating, having challenging conversations. So those are all things I teach in my course.
Before your role at Berkeley Haas, you led innovation for a national nonprofit, and you were previously a Big Five consultant. From your years of experience in the innovative business industry, What are some of the biggest takeaways you have learned and would like to share with all of us?
I would say one of the most important things I learned from being a consultant is the orientation towards client service, and that really going above and beyond by taking the time to understand what someone on the other side of the table might be experiencing. And this is true in any change-making effort we make, right? You never want to go in and tell people what to do or what change to make until you've deeply listened and asked thoughtful questions. So thinking about the client service element is really, really important.
Tips and tricks on how to nail a job interview.
I encourage you to go into these interviews being really thoughtful about whether you want to work at that organization. You know, you've made it to that point where they're really interested in you as a candidate. So I invite you to use the opportunity of the interview to ask those questions, to hone in on the culture of the organization, to understand that once you get to that next stage, which I hope you inevitably will, is this a place that you really want to be? I think you cannot do too much research before you go into a job interview, both on the person who's going to be on the other side of the table, but also on the organization. And then when the interview's over, thank you note within 24 hours that meaningfully touches on what happened in that interview, reiterates your interest in the job, and also if you feel like there's a moment in the interview where things are just going wrong, gives you an opportunity to recover, to say, you know, one thing upon reflection I wish I had said, I wish I had done differently, are strategies that have worked well for me.
Last question.
Yes.
What would you say to someone who has room on their schedule, maybe for next semester, and is thinking about taking a Berkeley Changemaker course?
Thank you. I appreciate that one. I'll probably slip you $5 under the table. So first of all, I would say thank you. We are always honored when students are interested in the Berkeley Changemaker suite of courses. We have over 40 of them now offered in departments across campus, and they all teach critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. So we want to help you sharpen the impact you make on the world and equip you with the skills you need to make that happen. And earlier I said we began hoping to create a wider and more inclusive lens into entrepreneurial thinking. Our Berkeley Changemakers are more diverse than the general undergraduate population on every metric here at Berkeley. So we're making good on that promise. We also welcome everyone. There are no prerequisites, so you simply enroll in our class and you're a Berkeley Changemaker. You find them by searching for Berkeley Changemaker as a course type in the academic guide. And with respect to I believe we have 16 courses on offer this spring. It could be more, I might be mistaken. I encourage you to think about what lights you up inside and take those courses. I'm biased to my Living with Agency class. There are just a few spots remaining in that. And I'm really excited about a new class that we're developing for this summer. So it's not public yet, stay tuned, but it's going to be a 1-unit class, and I hope everyone at UC Berkeley will consider enrolling in it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time,
Sure.
Laura. You truly are an inspiration for the UC Berkeley community, especially us at Berkeley Women in Business. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time to speak to your community. And I do hold office hours, so if anyone who's watching this is interested as a Berkeley student and wants to learn more, please reach out. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.